point, don't smoke crack.
Well, that's the only thing I can think Mara and Tish are doing right now is smoking the crack. Oh, this is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. I'm going to save my voice for the live stream at 11, but news just broke that Mara and Tish have decided to keep Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen and continue this horrid direction that we are currently in. I literally don't know what to say. You watch teams like the New England Patriots say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we made a mistake here by hiring Mayo. We're gonna go a different direction." And he had one season. This team had 3 seasons under this direction. They have 30 free agents on this roster. There's no talent on this roster, and by the time you get good again, Dexter Lawrence and Andrew Thomas are probably not going to be good anymore. You don't have a quarterback. You have set this franchise back 5 years by signing Daniel Jones. You made a decision that he was your guy, that he was this was Daniel Jones's year. You don't have a $45 million quarterback handing off to a $12 million running back. And you have neither. We are supposed to sit there and believe in Joe Schoen. His first 2 drafts have been pathetic. We'll call him pedestrian. This last draft, people are all hyped up about it, but if you actually break down his players statistically, there's a lot of bad things that went on with a lot of these guys. You had the bad free agencies, the rebuild of the offensive line for 3 years now, the bad trades. You were never Brian Burns away from winning, but you gave up assets and $120 million. Everyone knew, except for us, well, I knew it, that Darren Waller was washed up. I did a video the day we made that trade. I said he's 2 years removed and having hamstring injuries. He's never going to be the same player. But we know what? We made that big move. Why? To save the career of Daniel Jones. We continuously drafted assets like Wandale 2 yards in a cloud of dust Robinson to save Daniel Jones's career. Drafted Malik Neighbors at 6. Malik Neighbors is going to be a great player. But in a quarterback-laden and wide receiver-laden draft last year, you could have had your quarterback and the starting wide receiver. Not looking at you, Brian Thomas Jr., not looking at you, Keenan Coleman, not looking at you, Ladd McConkey, not looking at you, Michael Penix. And now we're continuously turning the reins over to Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. Say, hey, listen, you had the worst season in Giant history. I lived through 3-12-1. I lived through the 70s. 3-12-1 wasn't even this bad because the 3-12-1 roster in 83, like more than half the 84 team was on that roster. We don't have a Lawrence Taylor on this roster. We don't have a Harry Carson on the roster. We don't have a George Martin on this roster. We don't have a Jim Burt. We're not drafting a Carl Banks. We don't have a Phil Simms. I've been to 3 Giant Super Bowls. I opened the Meadowlands in '76 to watch that loss to Dallas. Talked about how I spent most of my youth during the winter at the Meadowlands because you could do that in the '70s and the early '80s. Your parents could give you $20 and a ticket and say, "Hey, I'll pick you up here at 4:30." I was there when they opened up MetLife for that preseason game against the Jets. I was there when they Giants opened up MetLife in general for their first regular season game. I've watched, like I said, I've watched 3 Super Bowls. I've went to 3 Super Bowls. I have countless years worth of memorabilia for this team, going back to Y.A. Tittle and Charlie Connolly. And the word that keeps coming to my mind is accountability. We have no accountability. And you had a 7-2 start, then you went 2-5-1, 6-11, and then you went 3-14. I have not seen the roster improve. Do you think that this roster is better than the roster that Gettleman left this team? No, this roster is not better. This roster has gone to the shitter repeatedly. We've shit the bed with the salary cap. I don't know how many times. We traded
King of the almost sack.
to Seattle last year because we didn't have enough money to sign a quarterback. We took Nick McLeod, one of our starting corners at that point in time, and told him, listen, you got to take a pay cut because we don't have enough salary cap space. So what is he? Instead, what do? They just get rid of him. There's like, Nick, we don't need you anymore. Well, actually, we do need you. You started 5 games, but we're just going to get rid of you. We watch players like Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love walk out the building. We've seen other players like Matt from Connecticut, Will Hernandez, and other people that were giant failures go other places and have successful careers. We've heard the likes of Paris Campbell say the Giants were the only ones to offer me a contract. That's why I took the money to come here. Not that I wanted to be here. They just the only one they offered me the contract. We bid against ourselves in free agency against second-tier players like John Runyon. Like I said, the nicest thing they said about John Runyon in Green Bay was don't pull him as a guard because he'll trip over his own feet. We then watched Green Bay, of course, turn around and draft Runyon's replacement the year before his free agency, and then they rotated him and the rookie the last 8 games of the season and in the playoffs. And then you're going to, with the 3rd overall pick, no quarterback, there's no talent on this roster. There's maybe 3 players. You're starting the rebuild from the rebuild in year 4 of Schoen and Daboll. I'm not even sure Daboll can coach. Honestly, I've reached that point now after watching that game yesterday. Passing plays, he ran the ball. There was a point in time then he throws the ball on 4th and 7 at the Philly 49. It looked like the team had no heart. They looked lifeless at times in that first half against the Philadelphia Eagle Home Depoters. But that's all right. At 8:47, we're going to announce that we're running this shit show back. I'm done. I am officially fucking done with the New York Giants. I've already sent my email to cancel my season tickets. That's done. I don't want anything to do with this. I will still do videos just to blast the stupidity of this team at every turn. Because everything that Joe Schoen's ever said or done has been totally wrong. And we have the video evidence. So, John Mara, you did something that Wellington couldn't do. You did something that Andy Robustelli couldn't do. You did something that Joe Judge couldn't do, that Dave Gettleman couldn't do. You broke a lifetime Giant fan. You have. I want nothing else to do with this team. Not buying merch. I'm going to devoid my office space of Giant shit and just box it up. Because there's zero accountability. You gave them 3 years. Now you're going to give them 4. And I hope to God I'm wrong. But I'm not. So I quit. Good luck. Farewell. Alvidas and goodbye. Like I said, I'll still do videos. Because you need a voice of reason in this bastion of stupidity. This sea of diarrhea. Known as the New York Football Giants. Live stream at 11. Be there. I'm out.